to AC News. Today I'm reporting on a very important topic at the moment, Hurricane Katrina. This hurricane made its first appearance in Florida on August 25th of this year. At the time, this was only a Category 1 storm. On August 26th, it became a Category 2 storm as it moved through the Gulf of Mexico. On the 28th, this storm increased to a Category 3 storm. Hurricane force winds went up to 160 miles per hour and were located in the Gulf, which is about 170 miles southeast of the mouth of the Mississippi River. This made the New Orleans citizens forced out of their home. At 6:10 a.m. on August 29th, Hurricane Katrina reached Burris, Louisiana. With winds as fast as 125 miles per hour as a Category 4 storm. This area is about 45 miles southeast of New Orleans. It continued northeast toward the Mississippi Sound and slammed into the cities of Gulfport and Biloxi. In New Orleans, the representatives believed they had escaped the hurricane, but they were wrong. The levee system that had been used to hold back Lake Pontchartrain and Bourne had been overpowered by the storm by 10 inches. By the evening of the 29th, around 20% of New Orleans was flooded. Although around 1.2 million people left before the storm struck, thousands of citizens refused to or could not leave. These people either lingered in their homes or sheltered themselves at areas such as New Orleans Convention Center or the Louisiana Superdome. By August 30th, these residents had to face a city that was 80% water. August 31st was the first day when the first flood of people arrived at the Red Cross in Houston, Astrodome, about 350 miles out of New Orleans. But thousands of people still remained there. There was also huge shortages of food and water, which also became a big problem. It was September 2nd when military presence was established in the city and the National Guard started to distribute food and water. Crews also started to rebuild the breached levees, and Canada and Mexico sent troops to assist cleaning and rebuilding. Because of how much this hurricane destroyed and how many lives were lost, Katrina is often called one of the worst hurricanes in U.S. history. About 1,200 people were killed and had a property damage worth $108 billion, making it the costliest hurricane in the world. Okay, what is a hurricane?
A hurricane starts with warm water, which is around 80 degrees Fahrenheit. If the water is less than 80 degrees Fahrenheit, hurricanes will not form or become weak early on. The warm water then evaporates, creating warm, humid air. This acts as a fuel for the hurricane. Wind is also needed to form these storms. The wind makes even more of the warm water evaporate, which rises into the atmosphere where it cools down. There, the water vapor becomes water droplets. These droplets in the atmosphere form clouds. The warm air continuously rises up and the wind starts to blow in a circular motion. The wind gathers the big clouds, and once the spinning winds reach as fast as 74 miles per hour, it becomes a hurricane.
Once hurricanes reach land, it runs out of moist air and the winds begin to slow down, but this does not mean it does not do any damage. Some other basic information about hurricanes is the naming system for them. In the early 1950s, Tropical storms and hurricanes were tracked by the year in order they occurred in during the year. Over time, we learned that short, well-known names were quicker and reduces confusion when two or more tropical storms are happening at the same time. In the past, confusion and false rumors resulted when storm advisories broadcast from radio stations were mistaken for warnings concerning an entirely different storm located hundreds of miles away. Now, there are assigned names for each year. Also, each name trades from boy to girl names. Here are some of the assigned names for each year.
A Category 1 hurricane will cause houses to have damage to roof, shingles, and gutters. Branches of trees will also snap. A Category 2 hurricane could lead to houses having roof and siding damage. Trees will be snapped and some will fall over, blocking roads. Power outages are very likely and will last a couple of weeks. A Category 3 hurricane could remove roof and siding. Electricity and water will most likely be unavailable from days to weeks. A Category 4 hurricane will damage most of the roof and exterior walls. Most trees will be snapped and fallen. Power outages could last from weeks to months, and the area will be uninhabitable for a couple of weeks. A Category 5 hurricane will cause most houses to be destroyed with roof failure and collapsed walls.
Power outages can last for months, and the land will also be uninhabitable for months. Hello, I'm in New Orleans, Louisiana, and I'm going to be asking 4 people the same question. How are you affected by the storm? Here is the first person. Hello. About this, my family and I were some of the people who stayed in New Orleans. We got criticized for this, but it's not like we wanted to stay there. We couldn't afford to move out, and where were you supposed to go anyway? Hello, how are you affected by Hurricane Katrina? So after my house got destroyed, my family and I took shelter at the Superdome. So it was super crowded there, and we were there along with around 15,000 other people. There were a lot of food and water shortages, but we were really happy that we had some place to stay. Okay, hello. How are you affected by the storm? When I heard about the storm coming, I was luckily able to go to Texas with my parents, and when I came back here, my home was completely destroyed. And I had to do so many renovations, and I'm still doing them now. Hello, how are you affected by the hurricane?
Being in New Orleans during Katrina, all the roads were blocked and my car broke down, so there was no way getting around anyway, with public transportation being on hold. The food and water shortages were very bad, and I ended up spending just most of my time at my house.
That is it for the interview portion of this broadcast. This is it for tonight's broadcast. We hope to see you tomorrow for an in-depth dive into the mating patterns of Canadian shrieking eels. This is Molly Richards, and you're listening to AC News.